Hey, Prime members! Are you tired of ads interfering with your favorite podcasts? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcasts. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcasts to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hello to everybody who thinks 1,000 birds is too many birds. It's Beautiful Anonymous. 1 hour, one phone call, no names, no holds barred.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. And if you're not into an intro, that's cool. I get it. You'll skip about like seven and a half minutes ahead. That'll put you right towards the beginning of the phone call. Thanks so much for listening. Hi everybody, Chris Gethard here. Welcome to Beautiful Anonymous, the show where we examine the human condition one anonymous phone call at a time. I feel so lucky to be here talking to you. I feel so lucky to share this week's phone call with you. I think many who have been listening from the beginning are going to view this one as an all-time classic because it hits so many things that people love about the show. Good vibes in general, discussion of weird jobs, discussion of intense society-serving jobs, discussion of animals. So many things that our fan base tends to tell us that they really enjoy. Before we get to that, I have to say thank you to everybody who has signed up at beautifulanonymous.com. Remember, you get your episodes ad-free. You get extra time with each caller. At the upper tier, you get a secret phone number that you only get once a month. You get follow-up calls with past callers. There's all kinds of great stuff. And as I went on a little meltdown last week, I'm just thinking of, I just can't participate in systems that I think have real negative value. So we switched from Twitter after 9 years of using Twitter to get our phone calls out. This week's call is the first one where we switched to Blue Sky. You can follow me there at chrisgethard.bsky.social. Thus far, I have only been using this for Beautiful Anonymous. I talked last week. Why was I so nervous to switch from one to the other? Here's why. I had 83,000 followers on Twitter when I stopped using it. Currently, I have 476 followers on Blue Sky over at chrisgethard.bsky.social. This is, of course, obviously a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. If I have to have 82,600 less followers, but I can feel like I'm not supporting a very unhealthy platform, in my opinion, I'll do that, although it would be much appreciated if you signed up for Blue Sky and followed me over there. But here's the thing. We have less followers on Blue Sky than we have people subscribed at beautifulanonymous.com. So I know some of you are out there because we've got between 1,500 and 2,000 subscribers over at beautifulanonymous.com. We've got less than 500. But I will say this. If you're somebody who has long wanted to get on the show, never has there been a better time. Never has it been easier than right now where you're competing with 476 other people. And that's it. So sign up at Blue Sky real quick because you don't need Parade Girl to be able to tell you mathematically getting in early on the Blue Sky era of the show by following me at chrisgethard.bsky.social. This is easily, since we launched in 2016, the highest percentage chance you will have of getting on Beautiful Anonymous. So now is the time to sign up. One final plug, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about this week's episode. I'm doing a show at White Eagle Hall, Jersey City, New Jersey. Obviously, I don't need to tell everybody that Jersey is a beloved, super important place to me. Jersey City has become a real hotspot. It's just on the other side of the Hudson River from Manhattan. So if you're in the tri-state area, whether you're in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, if you're in Jersey City itself, if you're in North Jersey, get to White Eagle Hall August 7th, punchup.live/Chris Gethard for the ticket links. We're about half sold out right now, so we're not doing bad. But I'm telling you, we're doing my variety show where I host it, I do jokes, I tell stories, there's bands that play, and then a whole bunch of young comedians who are making cool art stuff that probably is a little bit more on that performance arty experimental vibe. Everybody comes together and we throw down, and it's always so joyous when we do this show, and we're doing it at White Eagle Hall, which is a bigger venue than we've ever done and a venue that I love so much. So I'm hoping you'll buy a ticket and come on out on August 7th. You go to punchup.live/Chris Gethard for those tickets. And man, is that about to be a fun show. We're going to throw a party in Jersey City. Come on out. And if you've never been to Jersey City before, if you're over there in New York, you've been hearing that Jersey City's getting cool. It is cool. And the best way you're ever going to find that out, you come hang out with us on August 7th. Okay, a little bit more about this week's episode. You will hear this one has some layers to it. Real good vibes from the start. Then I think we really hit the gas when we start talking about tugboats, a topic that has been a strange source of lifelong fascination for me. I finally get to learn a little bit more about tugboat and tugboat culture. That's not even what our caller does, though. When our caller tells you what they do, I'm telling you, I'm so proud of this show because there's so many people who are helpers who listen to this show. It became clear at a certain point that social workers were out there listening. A big contingent of our listeners happen to be social workers. Much love to all the social workers out there. But over the years, we've also heard from teachers, from nurses, from community organizers, from people in the nonprofit space, all kinds of people who do work to help others. Our caller today works in law. Our caller's a lawyer, but who helps in ways that are so necessary, but that a lot of us, myself included, probably never even realized the necessity of until this phone call. And also, when you're helping other people, especially vulnerable people who maybe don't have the knowledge that they even need help, this often means you're working with situations that have a lot of anxiety, a lot of, how do you even say it? Sadness. Let's be honest. There's a lot of situations that emotionally will try on you and try to break you. And we hear our caller talk about all of this massively important work that she does, also how she keeps going in the face of it. And then, after all that, we find out that there's so many birds involved. And I hope the caller's husband listens someday and hears my reaction to this. But I think a lot of people listening will also realize when you start to do the math on the balance of all these things, the birds, we got to make some decisions about these birds. Anyway, you're all going to love this one, I think. chrisgethard.bsky.social. Come hang out Jersey City, August 7th. Sign up at beautifulanonymous.com. Get even more time with each caller, ad-free episodes, all the good stuff. Thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you on this lovely Friday evening?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty good. It's been a weird week, and hence you and I recording at 10:30 p.m. Eastern time on a Friday. But I'm happy to switch it up, do some late nights.
Nice. It's been an exceptionally weird week for me, too. So this feels very fitting to end a very odd and off week with this. So I'm happy to chit chat with you.
That's good. Everything okay on your end?
Okay. It will be okay. It's getting better I guess since a lot of chat on this podcast is about mental health, I started a new medication on Wednesday, and it has been a roller coaster, and adjusting to that is never fun. And
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I know it will be better, so I'm cool with like feeling sick and not really like being okay for a couple of days to like get to the other side.
I'll tell you on my end, I've been dealing all week with the fact that I have been diagnosed with vertigo, which is a pretty scary and unpleasant thing to deal with, let alone all the medications and the aftermath of that. But I'm fine. Before I worry anybody, I'm fine. But yes, I now have to deal with a thing where on occasion the room starts spinning in a circle around the light fixture.
Oh, that sounds unpleasant. Did that like come up out of nowhere?
Out of the goddamn blue.
Oh, isn't aging and your body changing fun?
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
Yeah. That's when you think you have a grasp on it. Mm-hmm. There's another curveball.
Indeed. So
do you feel okay? Like
Yeah, it was a long, weird week, but I'm bouncing back fine. I'm doing good, thank you.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So what would you like to talk about on this lovely Friday evening?
So, I guess like a couple of things. I don't know, what I was telling Andrea, a couple of things we could talk about. It's my weird onset love for the WWE and wrestling. My husband got me into it like 10 years ago, and now I religiously watch it every Monday, every Friday, and every premium live event. And if I don't watch it, I get really cranky.
We could easily spend an hour talking about the current state of the WWE. Easily. We could. Yeah, let's do it. I'm happy to do that. That sounds great.
So that, and I just need to throw this out there because I always said if I talk to you, I must mention this. My absolute favorite band, and has been for the past like 18 years, is Streetlight Manifesto from South Jersey.
Jersey
and I don't know if you've heard them.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I was more of a Catch-22 man myself, but I know Streetlight Manifesto.
Yeah, that band has done and continues to do so many great things for my mental health. Albeit, they announced that they were going to put out a new album and then just delayed it again. But it's okay. I can deal with that.
Wrestling and ska on a Friday night sounds delightful to me.
So do you watch, I know you've talked a little bit about your love of wrestling, but I know on the show you've mostly talked about like old school wrestling. But current state of the WWE, who are your favorite wrestlers?
Well, I will say I'm very lucky to be personal friends on a real level with Sami Zayn, who I think is he's one of the best wrestlers going right now. And then I also have the convenience of the fact that he and I have like hung out a bunch of times and we'll text each other sometimes, which just also adds the experience. So I gotta say my man Sami Zayn, he's also the human crossover of wrestling and ska. He is the wrestler who loves ska. So it does loop right back around to your discussion of Streetlight Manifesto. But I love
that he was
what?
He was one of my hooks.
Yeah.
He was one of my hooks into the WWE when I first saw him. And now with the crowd behind him, I kid you not, every time he comes on and people start chanting Sami Zayn or start singing his music, I literally start bawling my eyes out. I'm not sure if it's because I feel so proud for an individual that I just don't know, which is odd, or because I'm also just an emotional mess in life.
I love this.
But every single time, it gets me every time.
Love this conversation. So for what I imagine are almost entirety of the people listening who aren't wrestling fans, I'll just break down the archetypes these people fill in. Sami Zayn is a guy who he's in the past he's been known as the underdog from the underground, and that I think kind of sums up how a lot of people feel about him. He's the people's favorite. He's never been the world champion, but he verbally says, I really want to be world champion someday. He's come close a couple times, but never gotten over the finish line. And he sort of feels like he's never going to quite get there. They also do a thing with Sami Zayn where when they want you to like another wrestler, they will have a storyline invariably where Sami Zayn goes out and becomes that wrestler's friend publicly because everybody loves Sami Zayn. So, for example, there was a stretch where they had Jey Uso win the Royal Rumble this year, which meant he got a title shot, which a lot of people were surprised by. And I think fans were generally enthusiastic. But if you go back and watch, they very, very quickly had Sami Zayn go out and do a thing that was like, Jay, you got to go do this. You got to go win. You got to win it for guys like me and you. Because if they ever try to present anyone else as the underdog, they almost need Sami Zayn to go out there and publicly sign off on other people being allowed to be an underdog as their storyline, or else the whole crowd's just going to root for Sami Zayn to come out.
Yeah.
I love Sami Zayn. I really like Jacob Fatu. I thought as soon as he showed up, I was like, whoa, here we go. This is rad. I watched a match with Jacob Fatu versus Braun Strowman, and I was watching with Cal. We were cleaning Cal's basement playroom, and I threw that match on. And Jacob Fatu, so for anybody listening, again, you're not fans, there's a really giant contingent of wrestlers who are all either blood relations or very, very close family relations of one Samoan family. And Jacob Fatu is part of that. A lot of people know it as the bloodline these days, but it's existed since the 1980s, going back to the Wild Samoans. Jacob Fatu is kind of a newer member of that family who's emerged recently, and he's a badass. In this match with Braun Strowman, he bloodied him up, beat him up so bad that Cal turned around to me afterwards and went, Daddy, I thought he was going to kill that guy. And it made me laugh so hard. I really like Jacob Fatu. I know it's very obvious, but on the women's side, Rhea Ripley is just doing stuff that's just different than ever been done before with women's wrestling. There's a lot to like about wrestling.
I was hoping you were gonna.
Yeah, it's fallen off a little bit in the past couple months to me compared to that hot streak they were on. But there's a lot to like about wrestling.
It's been difficult to watch.
Yeah, Penta. I think Penta's very good. I really like Penta.
I like his entrance. That I can get behind.
It's the same match every time.
Once he gets on the mat, he loses me.
It was so impressive the first time, and now I've seen the same exact match 11 times.
Yeah.
Who are you enjoying these days?
But I'm glad you said Rhea Ripley. She is
Rhea Ripley's awesome.
My favorite. She massive girl crush on her, which I'm among thousands of women who do. But she is just that female archetype of I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. I'm going to be me and I'm going to do it and I'm going to kick ass along the way. And there's something that is just so empowering to watch that unfold. And even just sometimes I go down a rabbit hole and watch interviews, and she just seems like such a kind, endearing person behind the character that it makes me love her character even more.
She's also got a real badass look and real sort of, I would say almost like goth industrial vibes. Black lipstick, tattoos, black leather. There's like a sort of almost like goth dominatrix look to Rhea Ripley, to the point where if you only saw a photo of her, you'd assume, oh, well, if this is a wrestler, that's a bad guy based on the look. Nope.
Yeah.
Crowd loves her, cheers for her. Good guy. Face, not a heel, face.
Nope. Everyone loves her.
Everyone loves Rhea Ripley.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who doesn't love Rhea Ripley right now.
I'd also say, based on the listeners of this podcast, if you're like, sure, if these two want to talk about wrestling, wrestling's never been my thing. Maybe I'll give wrestling a chance. The prototypical beautiful anonymous listener, Rhea Ripley will be your favorite wrestler. Like as far as our podcast historically always being sort of, I think a lot of women in their 30s and above who are living their lives, but who quietly feel badass and fed up with stuff. Rhea Ripley is for you.
1,000% she is.
Yeah. She's really incredible.
I know. So to switch gears a little bit, is it okay if I switch gears?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. Fair. Thank you for that autonomy. I appreciate it. And it also feels very powerful and a bit intimidating. But I know you like to talk about like weird jobs. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you, I think my husband and I, between the two of us, are a pair in which our occupations, both together and separate, are unique to the point where you don't really hear about them very much. Also hear about them with like two people in a couple. So my husband, who got me into wrestling, he works on a tugboat, and
Excuse me?
He's gone for 2 weeks at a time.
He
works on a tugboat. Yeah.
You know, tugboat captain is a job. I've often said that if I was not doing what I was doing and I could pick any other job, it would be tugboat captain.
Really?
Did
what
you know
about
this about
it
me?
makes you interested in it? No, I didn't. This is fascinating.
My whole life, I've just thought, you know, especially living in New York for 16 years, tugboats are big. That's a big everyday thing that if you want to go see tugboats, you can see tugboats. Like when I lived in Queens, you'd see tugboats up and down the East River all day, every day. They're big, massively important. Yeah. You get these giant container ships that roll up in the Northeast. They're not getting into port with those giant engines. It would be so dangerous. You need those tugs. You need those tugs to guide them in. And yet, and here's where it becomes like a very Chris Gethard thing to be fascinated with. And yet, 16 years in New York, I could look out at the East River and see tugboats literally every day. And not one time did I actually ever meet a human who worked on a tugboat in this major metropolitan area.
That's interesting.
And it lets me know I was going to say, it lets me know there's tugboat bars that I'll never know about. There's tugboat hangs. There's places where tugboat people are being tugboat people. There's places where the tugboats go at night to go and wait. I don't know if there's like a taxi dispatch where the tugboats wait to hear who's needed and when. But I'm just so acutely aware that there's a really pronounced tugboat culture that I coexisted with in a city with a lot of tugboats, and yet had no firsthand knowledge of tugboat life or tugboat people. And that, to me, sign me up. I need to know everything about tugboats.
Well, tugboating is fascinating. And if you want to talk to someone, my husband, who I will admit, my husband hates podcasts. And every time I listen to them, he's like, I don't understand why you listen to this.
That's fair.
And I try to explain it to him, but he still doesn't get it. But he is a chatty Cathy. He will literally talk to anyone about anything or ever. So he would be a good person to talk about it.
Someday.
But you probably saw one of his boats, the company that he works for moves oil and gas barges. So right now he works out of Philadelphia, and he is just on the East Coast, but he used to go down to he used to go down to Florida, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, New Orleans. They would move like asphalt barges from New Orleans to the U.S. Virgin Islands.
So tugboat
there were
people
a lot
travel.
of times where oh yeah. Yeah. And when they're out on the ocean, they don't have any cell service. So the only way that him and I could stay in touch would be over a satellite phone, where I would have to awkwardly call the boat and be can I talk to my husband's name? And I would always just feel very odd about it, but only be able to talk to him for a couple of minutes. And I would always joke with him, be someone is listening to this call. The government is listening to this call. I don't know who or why, but someone has to be listening to this call, because it didn't sound like a secure line. But anyway, maybe that's also me being a wee bit paranoid.
I'm going to ask a very basic question, but it's actually, if I don't ask you, I will not forgive myself. So if you mentioned right now that your husband's based out of the Philadelphia ports, it sounds like. But if his tugboat gets a call from some shipping company that says we need someone in Puerto Rico, when you say they travel there, do they fly to Puerto Rico and use a tugboat in Puerto Rico, or are they taking that tugboat all the way down the East Coast and sailing a tugboat from Philly to Puerto Rico?
So it depends. Right now, each boat is that he's ever worked on has been on contract with different companies, whether it be Shell or other big gas companies. So if a boat is on contract, they're really just doing the same run over and over again, from point A to point B to point C, and then back doing that loop again. But say if he was in Philadelphia and they needed a boat to take a product from New Orleans to Puerto Rico, they would have to take the boat unless there was an available boat down at the port in New Orleans. They would have to take the boat all the way down, pick up the product, and then tow it to Puerto Rico.
Damn. Tugboats are so specific and weird. It's a very specific type of sailing. I bet even other sailors view tugboat people as a specific breed unto themselves.
Oh, I'm sure. And from being married to one and being around a few here and there, it is a very specific breed of people.
Was he a tugboat guy when you got to know him, or did he become a tugboat guy after you were married?
I knew him. When I met him, he was working on tugboat. So this is the only life that I've known with him, being home for 2 weeks at a time and then being away for 2 weeks.
I'm not being condescending. How do you even meet someone who works on a tugboat, let alone marry them? Aren't they always just off tugboating?
Oh, no. Back in the day, when he wasn't tugboating, he was going out to bars and on the internet, trying to meet women to go out to bars with. So that's how I met him.
Damn, that rules. And you said you got a weird job too. We're going to pause right there, and I'm going to tell you, we're already having so much fun on this call, but when you find out what this caller does, it just dives deeper than you can ever imagine. That is a tease, but I don't think it's overhyping it. We'll be right back. Weight loss medications are out there. Everybody's talking about them right now. This has become a hot topic conversation. There's people in my life talking about it constantly. I know people who are going for it. But one of the things that gets talked about a lot, have you seen the price tag? Let's be real about it. Price tag's no joke. Hard to believe that these weight loss medications are actually accessible. If you're thinking about it, you're going to really want to pay attention to this ad, because that is where Hers comes in. Hers is transforming women's healthcare by providing access to affordable weight loss treatment plans. They connect you with a medical provider who will work with you to determine the best treatment option for you. And if you get prescribed, that medication comes as part of a doctor-developed weight loss program. There's doctors involved. Okay. This is something that you can feel safe in. There's ongoing care, there's check-ins, there's dosage and medication adjustments, and 24/7 online support at no additional cost. There's no hidden fees, no membership fees. Weight Loss by Hers is realistic. It's not restrictive. It's here to provide you with access to both oral medication kits and GLP-1 injectable options, with oral medication kits starting at just $69 per month with a 10-month plan when paid upfront. Plus, your personalized treatment ships for free directly to your door. So if you've been struggling with a weight loss journey, it's time to find the best option that works for you. Hers is here to help. Start your free online visit today at forhers.com/beautiful. That's FORHERS.com/beautiful for your personalized weight loss treatment options. forhers.com/beautiful. Weight Loss by Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not approved or reviewed for safety, effectiveness, or quality by the FDA. Prescription required. See website for full details, important safety info, and restrictions. Actual price depends on product and plan purchased. Right now, in this current moment, there are headlines, and you have probably seen them, about data breaches, about all these regulatory rollbacks. These things are going to make everyone more vulnerable, and you can do something about it right now. I'm telling you, I am a personal customer of Delete Me. Delete Me is a great service. It's here to make it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online. If you want an easier way to deal with data breaches, get Delete Me. The fact is, everyone is at risk right now. Your data's floating out there. How often do you get emails or letters saying that maybe your data has been breached? It is weird, right? It's unsettling to realize that this is out there happening all the time. But the good news is Delete Me can help. Delete Me does all the hard work of wiping you and your family's personal info from data broker websites. Delete Me knows your privacy is worth protecting. Sign up, provide Delete Me with exactly what info you want deleted. Their experts take it from there. Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me is not just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. I am somebody who has an active online presence. It is unfortunately part of the job with what I do. And because of that, I have also been in situations where my privacy gets infringed upon. And you have been listening for a while. If so, you know, I have been in a few situations where I go, whoa, there are some things happening here that are crossing my personal boundaries, crossing personal lines. I need help. And I can tell you so genuinely that Delete Me helped me. When you get your reports from Delete Me and it shows you which sites they've gone on, scrubbed your info from, which sites have tried to add your info back in, but Delete Me has caught it again and removed it again, you sit there, you go, thank goodness there's a safety net out here. Somebody's got my back. And Delete Me has helped me and my family feel safer. And I personally can't thank them enough. And I think everybody's got to look out for their privacy right now. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners. Get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Use promo code beautiful at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is go to joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Enter code beautiful at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/beautiful. Code is beautiful. Thanks to all of our advertisers. Now let's get back to the phone call. And you said you got a weird job too.
Yeah, well, my job isn't as weird as it is. I think that the combination of our jobs together is weird. But I'm an attorney and I work in child welfare. So my job, I am what's called a guardian ad litem. I represent kids from anywhere from my clients range from newborn babies up until kids are 21. And my job is to represent to the court what's in their best interest if their families become involved in child welfare to the extent where the court needs to then become involved.
That sounds like the most intense and occasionally heartbreaking job I've heard about.
It is. It is intense. It's heartbreaking, much more than occasionally. And it also, in order to do it, I've been in the child welfare realm since I graduated law school. And quite frankly, I think it is probably the only thing that I truly want to do with my law degree, because for me, it's the only thing that I know and I'm aware of that brings me a sense of purpose and value to this otherwise pointless degree, and a degree that I really don't particularly like, which that's really hard to rectify for me. But I hated law school. I sometimes don't like being an attorney, but I absolutely love being able to advocate for kids who don't have a voice for themselves and who need help in most of the time, the worst aspects of their life. I couldn't imagine myself doing anything other than this, even though it's taxing and it wears on my own mental health. And there's a lot that goes into it, but it's worth it. And sometimes you just have to develop a really sick sense of humor and find humor in things that people from the outside would probably look at you and be like, you are the cruelest person I've ever met. But without that, you wouldn't be able to survive. You need to find humor in the literal darkest things in order to just make it through the day.
It is, even when you describe the job, I sit here, I go, I can't imagine that there are too many situations where you wind up representing a newborn baby in court and it's not really just a total shit show emotionally, probably for everyone involved. You and everybody.
Yeah. What's really hard too is that the newborns, they're the easiest clients because they don't talk.
I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, I get it. I get it.
But no, yes, newborns to 2-3 years old. That sometimes during the week, you're like, I just need a young client because I need someone who can't talk to me. But the hardest thing with newborns, and if this gets too sad and you want to change the subject or change gears about this, please let me know.
We'll just start talking about wrestling. The second it gets too sad, we'll dive right back into wrestling. Sound good?
Okay, that sounds good. And I don't know if you watched SmackDown tonight, but you might be able to fill me in if you did, because I didn't get a chance.
I have not watched tonight's SmackDown, no.
Okay, good. Well, then. But the saddest part about the newborns, and what gets me a lot, but what actually happens a lot, is the parents don't show up, or it's a mom doesn't show up for the hearing, and the hearing is usually within 3-4 days. Sometimes if the baby's been removed from the hospital, the hearing is usually when the baby is 3-4 days old, and sometimes the mom doesn't even show up.
I have to imagine that in a lot of cases, if it's a newborn baby who winds up involved in a court situation, this means that the parents are in the hospital and there's signs of drug use or domestic violence or just some really brutally sad things.
Yeah, or some really, really severe and untreated mental health. So sometimes it's just one isolated issue, and sometimes it's a combination of all three of those. It just depends.
Yeah, it's just kind of reverse engineering, connecting the dots of what you just said. You sit here, you go, that's so sad for that newborn. And it also reflects that, the mother who doesn't show up in court, it reflects the fact that having a baby is one piece of this person's puzzle, where if they can't even show up in court, you go, this is so representative of a chaotic life. If this is not a life-changing moment for you, this is just another step in a process of some sort of spiral. It's really sad.
Yeah. And it's really hard to, sometimes it's really hard in the moment to shift to that perspective when you're sitting there. But when you step out of that space and you kind of get time away from what you just experienced, and you're able to sit with it and then able to like read a little bit more about what's going on, or just see how things have progressed after a couple of months, you sit back and you see like, oh my God, like this poor woman or this poor man, they are suffering so much that their grasp on reality is so altered from everyone else's. But there's part of it where it's the decisions that they've made in their life. And those decisions are byproducts of both what has happened to them as they were kids and as they were adults. And like, you really see like this full circle. Like, someone was saying the other day to me about how it's so much easier to fix isn't the best word, but it's the word that we use, like fix a child who is broken and help build them up, than it is to repair broken adults.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I continue to do what I do, is just because you see, it's almost like maybe I can put a little bit of gauze in this bleeding wound of an underbelly that not very many people get to see, but is so detrimental to so many people's lives. And, sometimes you get to see like the happy stuff at the end, or like some of the best moments I have is like those kids that had no hope at the beginning and had lived like really awful lives, or, had prior to this, or had been like terribly abused. And despite how much their parents loved them, like they couldn't get it together, but these kids found safety and stability and healing in another family who wants to adopt them, and then going to these kids' adoptions and just being able to see that full circle moment, like in my mind's eye, of like when I first met this child and what they looked like then and what they were going through, to the smile on their face that day. Like that, to me, that keeps me going, because it's beautiful, and it's something that not very many professionals in the realm that I work in get to experience. But when I do have the chance to experience it, I like to take advantage of it.
I imagine that, we were talking about newborns, and you were saying, well, newborns can't talk, and we were, there's dark humor in there. But as you kind of make it clear what you do, I go, there's got to be, I understand it a bit too, because I start to think about, there's probably situations that have to be so heartbreaking where you go, there is a home where there's instability, and whatever instability that is, whether it's severe financial instability, there's mental illness, there might be drug abuse, there might be violence in the home, there's all sorts of things. It's so sad to think about, but I sit there, I go, I get what you mean about the babies almost, it's so obvious. Okay, we have to take care of this newborn baby, and a hospital worker has raised a red flag that there's signs of drug abuse, so we need to investigate it and see what's going on. And I would imagine in some situations, not all of them, but in some situations, there might even be a young parent who turns around and goes, okay, yeah, like my kid is going to be safer based on where I'm at right now. My kid's going to be safer, and I'm seeing a little bit of trust in the system. I imagine there's kids who are a little bit older who, in some cases, probably accurately, but in some cases, maybe even trained in that weaponized way, go, no, you don't ever tell a social worker what's going on because you have 4 siblings and you'll get put in 5 different foster homes, and we'll all get torn apart. And there's just a massive amount of fear. And then also, sometimes that might be the reality for those kids. And
it's 1,000% the reality.
And you're the one who has to sit here and go, I understand that you're like 9 years old and this is completely turning your world on its head, and you might not see the older sibling who you view as your only protector for a long time, but that older sibling should not be your protector. That's not fair to them either. And you're both going to wind up better if we can help you get to safer situations. But yeah, it might mean a lot of separation, a lot of fear. I've
seen it work out in a situation like that one time. And there's 9 kids in 9 different foster homes. And you would think that like families who sign up to be foster parents are like clamoring for younger kids. But in some situations, like I guess starting around like 4 years old, depending on some of like the presenting behaviors, because I don't really understand the information gap between what the training say about like what to expect of kids who are like coming in the system. But I have a firm belief that some people expect these kids like wrapped in a nice pretty bow with no behavioral concerns, and that don't come along with ingrained what other people would consider like bad or misbehavior. But starting at like 4 years old, some kids can get really, really difficult to place into foster care because of that. And it's really sad.
Yeah.
Because that should never, like, I wish that people would see if the child knew how to act a different way and they had the emotional capacity in this moment to have their bodies react in a different way, sure they could, because underneath all of that, they are the sweetest child. But they've got a lot going on. A lot of these kids have more going on in their young childhood than most adults have ever seen in their entire lives.
And I personally think that Dominic Mysterio is going to be the world champ someday. And it's not based on his skill set, it's based on his personality. I don't know how you feel about that.
I cannot wait to watch Rhea Ripley kick him in the nuts again, because that was one of the most empowering moments I've ever seen in my life. When he screwed her over and he started shacking up with Liv and
Morgan,
then
New Jersey's own
Rhea.
I get why you like wrestling. Wrestling is maybe, I would say, maybe the most easily accessible form of escapist entertainment.
Yes. Yes, it is.
And I
love it.
It's also something where if you've had a really hard, long week, and like, if you're sitting here going, I'm representing a few cases that's seeing a family with 9 kids, and I'm one of the lawyers who's placing 3 of 9 kids in different foster homes, coordinating with other lawyers, trying all to do our best to make this happen in a way that's positive and healthy and happy for all these kids, while also knowing some of these kids are going to wind up in situations where they thrive, others might not, and it's a crapshoot. And by the way, I would love to talk with my partner about this, but my partner is busy in a little tiny boat, pushing a big giant boat across the Gulf of Mexico right now. That, yeah, maybe pro wrestling is something that you just need to turn it on every once in a while and go, I don't know what's going on, but it's so easy to figure out who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. And the beautiful thing about wrestling is you can turn it on literally in the middle of a match and go, all right, I'm supposed to hate her. I hate her. I like that other one. Woohoo, let's go. Help me forget about life for a while. And man, I wish that shipment of crude didn't come in from Dubai right now. So my husband didn't have to drive a tugboat to North Carolina. On this particular week, I'm starting to get a sense of how stressed out your life can be sometimes.
Yeah. Not only wrestling is my greatest form of escapism, but I also come home and my husband, I kind of share in this, but I also sometimes don't share in this hobby. My husband is a homesteader, and I have hundreds of chickens and ducks and geese and bees and a livestock guardian dog. So he's gone. I'm tasked with taking care of all of this. So why I missed SmackDown tonight is because I have like a whole bunch of like chickens that are like less than a month old, and they're all little, and they got out of their little pen, and those fuckers run fast. And I was trying to scoop them up before my dogs got them. And it was just, I wish that someone would like videotape me trying to take care of this place, because there has to be some level of comedy watching me trudge around in boots and my pajamas, wrangling chickens and chasing after them, cursing, and just also like ending up like laughing so hard because I can only imagine how ridiculous all of this looks that I like can't control myself at a certain point and just end up stopping and laughing hysterically.
When you say hundreds, are you talking literal? There are hundreds of animals in your care?
Yeah. Yeah. And all birds. I don't understand the bird thing for my husband, but so we have chickens he likes fancy birds. So we have, his favorite are these chickens called houdans, and they're black and white birds with little like tufts of feathers on top of their heads that pretty much cover their eyes so they can't really see. They're cute. They're docile, except for one. We have one rooster who I'd really like to put away, or like just like, ooh, whoops, like the dogs got him, or like he ran out into the woods and I just like couldn't chase him anymore. I'm so sorry. But yeah, what the worst part of it is he also likes to hunt. So we had 2 purebred German hunting dogs that were trained to hunt birds. We had 2 of them. They both passed away. It was really tragic. They both passed away this past spring, and we just got another one. I think he's 11 weeks old. And today, when these little guys got out, and you just see the instinct kicking in, and then he starts chasing them, and then I start chasing after the dog and yelling at the dog to let go of the chickens. And it is just chaos. It is pure chaos, and it's beautiful. It's so frustrating, but it's also like the best form of escapism at the end of the day. Like nothing really matters except I need to wrangle these birds and feed them. And what a chore that usually takes me like an hour and a half at the end of every day.
You mentioned, because of your husband's work, you mentioned you're in the Philadelphia metro area on some level?
Yeah, I live like further north, and I live closer to the Jersey border than I do to Philadelphia.
All I know is, I obviously live in the same, Jersey is effectively like a big circle of suburbs of New York and then a big circle of suburbs of Philly, and they connect. And you could argue that Philly and New York are almost like bookended cities, and Jersey is in the middle, and that is one area. And we call some of it New York, some of it New Jersey, some of it Pennsylvania. But culturally, you and I live in a connected swath of land. And one thing I know is that it's not an area where it's necessarily easy to find a patch of land where you can house hundreds of animals at any given time.
Yeah. Yeah. Thankfully, birds don't take up a lot of space.
Let's pause right there. Birds do take up too much space, in my opinion. Anyway, we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by IQBAR, our exclusive snack sponsor. IQBAR is the better-for-you, plant protein-based snacks made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash. IQBAR's plant protein bars are packed with high-quality ingredients to help keep you physically and mentally fit. IQBAR is totally free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners for a natural anytime snack. I had an IQ bar this morning. I have IQ bars more often than not. This is generally what I have for breakfast. I really love IQ bars. I also love IQ Mix, which is the hydration electrolyte product that they sell. And my wife could not be a bigger fan of IQ Joe, which she calls coffee sticks. And that is no joke. Absolutely. IQ Bar is great, even compared to other bars. If you're someone who needs a grab and go breakfast like I often do, I'm telling you, IQ Bar is as good as it gets. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Text BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. That's BEAUTIFUL to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. I'm not out here chasing trends. It has never been my style, but I am all about stuff that feels good and fits right and actually lasts and is good looking on the body and good looking in the wallet. That's why I keep coming back to Quince. Their lightweight layers and high quality staples have become my everyday essentials. Quince has the kind of stuff you'll actually wear on repeat, like breathable flow knit polos, crisp cotton shirts, and comfortable lightweight pants that somehow work for both weekend hangs and dressed up dinners. The best part, everything with Quince is half the cost of similar brands. By working directly with top artisans and cutting out the middlemen, Quince gives you luxury pieces without the markups. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes. I am telling you that tonight, and this is not a joke, I have to go to a friend of mine has an opening of an off-Broadway show. I'm very excited to go support him and see his show. I also know that I need to look good because there's going to be people there taking pictures, and I'm going to be in my head about it. And if they want to take a picture of me, I got to look good. So I'm wearing a sweater from Quince. It's as simple as that. When I need to look good, I'm wearing my Quince. And I love that I also know that it's ethical and that they put thought and time into that. And not only are they saving us all money, but they're doing things the right way. Kudos to Quince. Stick to the staples that last with elevated essentials from Quince. Go to quince.com/beautiful for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/beautiful. Get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/beautiful. Thanks again to all of our advertisers. Now let's finish off the phone call.
Thankfully, birds don't take up a lot of space. We have about, we have 5 acres and we have an apple orchard. And my husband we take in roosters, which is also another one of his hobbies where I think that he is insane. But
don't they fight each other?
It is lucrative.
Can't you not have more than one rooster?
So they will fight each other at first when you introduce a new rooster, because the pecking order is a very real thing. So like some of them will fight each other to kind of like teach the new rooster where he fits in. But after like either a couple of hours or a day, depending on how scrappy this new rooster is, like they're fine. And they're also in about an acre and a half of a fenced space where we keep most of the roosters. But my husband really likes to say that he keeps the roosters, so because they crow constantly, and he really wants to piss off our neighbors. So he's like, yeah, I just keep on collecting roosters so that they just crow. They literally crow from like 4 a.m. until about 8 o'clock at night, on and off, and it's like a symphony. So we have, in one part of the property, we have that like acre and a half, 2 acre space that's fenced in where a bunch of the roosters are. But then we also have like a coop where on the other end of the property where we have all of our laying hens, and I have a couple of roosters in there too. And
can you hear them from your house?
I can, yeah.
Have you ever thought, and this is just spitballing here if I may, that, you know, your husband has this fascination with birds, sounds like semi-hobby, semi-professional on some level? Are you selling the eggs off, I imagine? Either way.
Yeah, to our friends.
So more of a hobby than anything else. And like likes to stick it to the neighbors with the rooster noise. But have you ever, and again, just spitballing here, have you ever thought about saying to your husband, like, hey, I love you and I want to support you and all your interests? You know, that being said, I sometimes have days where I have to be a person responsible for telling adolescent twins that they don't get to live in the same house anymore. And I don't want to come home and feed 1,000 fucking birds and listen to your roosters. Have you ever thought about saying to your husband, like, there's times where you're literally in the Gulf of fucking Mexico and I'm going through the saddest shit a human can go through, and I don't want to end that day by feeding 1,000 fucking birds.
Can I tell you how many times we've actually had that conversation?
I would imagine every day. Every day you should be having that conversation until he moves on from this obsession with birds or quits the tugboat. You can't be a tugboat guy and a bird guy. You can only be one or the other. You are not allowed to be an obsessive bird guy and an obsessive tugboat guy. You're one of those things or the other.
If you could explain that to him, I would be forever grateful, because I have tried ad nauseum for about 8 years, and it has only gone a short amount of time when I was in law school, where he was like, we'll get rid of all the birds, fine. And we got rid of all of them. And now we have about 3 or 4 times more than we had that first go around.
If you want to own, like, there's people I know out in my area, Jersey, like there's people in my neighborhood who keep chickens because they don't want to keep buying eggs, and they'll own maybe 10 chickens at a time. But I think there's a real and very valid conversation to be had, which is, if you want to be professionally in the world of tugboats, there's a 10 bird max. You got 1,000 birds and you're gone 2 weeks a month. Those two things don't match up. Oh, also,
no,
I, your loving wife, have the hardest fucking job in America. Take it easy on me with the goddamn birds.
Yeah, that conversation, when it does happen, it usually escalates to me like scream crying because something tragic has happened. And I'm just like, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't want these birds. And then when all is said and done, and I've taken a couple of deep breaths, I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'll deal with it. I'll take care of them. Because he jumps to, well, I'll get rid of them. It's fine. Like, I understand it's a lot for you. I'll get rid of them.
Okay.
And then I end up feeling bad. And I'm like, no, you don't need to get rid of them. It's fine. I'll do it.
I'll just do this. I'll just give you permission next time. And the next time, if he tries to be like, fine, well, I'll get rid of them. and it's tugging at your heartstrings. I just, on my end, not having ever met you in real life, to my knowledge, not knowing him, feel like your response is allowed to be like, cool. And then you turn around and walk away and you expect the bird's gone within 24 fucking hours. Because what you're describing to me is so wild. It is so wild that you literally could spend an entire week prepping for a case where you sit here and you go, there is a young mother who is in put upon circumstances, and the last thing I want to do is demonize this woman, but she just gave birth to a baby and I represent the baby, and the baby is ultimately not safe, and I'm rooting for her and I'm rooting for the baby, but I'm the one who's going to have to take the baby away, and I have to do a massive amount of prep on that, because the last thing you want to do is not have your fucking facts straight in a situation where you're talking about, it would be massively and rudely disrespectful to like mix up the facts of one case with another in such sensitive times. And then you go through the actual thing, and there's representatives from both the baby and the mother's family there, and they're all hoping for things to go one way. And it's your job to try to guide the safety of a child to make sure it goes in a way where you can feel all these eyes upon you as you do a thing that they really hope won't happen, but both morally and legally is the thing that has to happen for the greatest chance of a kid to have a productive and healthy life. And then you got to go home and tend to ducks? Are you kidding me?
I will say, of all the birds, the ducks are my favorite.
Fuck those ducks. You got a hard life.
And the geese. We have geese too. And
Geese
let me
are
tell you,
so
those
mean.
fuckers are loud.
Geese are they are a mean, and when
not
geese,
the ones that we have.
Geese
They are very sweet.
There's no such thing as a sweet goose.
They are. I had one imprint on me once.
What's that mean?
And
it attaches itself to you?
Followed me around everywhere.
Well, that's
and
cute.
It was like It was very cute. You want to know, the story turns and gets real sad real quick.
Many of your stories do, huh?
They do. It's just the nature of my life. You have to live in that dichotomy. But an owl got it one night.
I was going to say,
I came out.
I was going to say, you're sitting here and you're going, I got this kid to safety, but the family is heartbroken and mad at me. And now I got to come home and find out that 2 foxes got through the fence and I have to clean up the remains of a slaughter. That's a real thing you might have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
I might get home and find out that my backyard looks like the fucking prom scene from Carrie, and my husband, whose bright idea was to have all these animals living on our farms. Where's my husband? Can he clean up the grizzle and the blood and the mayhem? Oh no, he's too busy pushing a barge full of crude from New Orleans to Baton Rouge right now. What is this life you're describing?
It is nonsense. That's why I feel like on some level, just the utter chaos of my day to day would be amusing to some people, but would also probably be maddening.
It is. I mean, it's both. I do want to say, all jokes aside, and like venting, that is nuts that you're your husband's got to at least reduce the number of birds, help you out. I do have to just make sure you know. So much of me ranting and raving about it, though, is...
Do you want some?
Do I want the birds?
You're not that far. Yes, I can bring you some birds if you would like eggs, some fresh eggs.
I will tell you that my neighbors are currently building hen houses because they plan on getting birds.
Oh, yeah?
You might be able to take some of those birds off your hands. But I do want to say all the ranting and raving, which, I'm enjoying making you laugh, especially considering the intense nature of your job, but so much of it is also, I hope, to underline you're working a professional life that is hard and vital and a thing I did not know about before you started talking about it. But I sit here, I go, of course, there are lawyers that have to represent even the youngest of kids. Like I know there's lawyers out there who dedicate themselves towards helping animals, and animals can't go out and hire a lawyer. And you sit here and you go, there's certain people who just sign up for Tracks in Life to protect those who don't even understand the need for protection at times. And you're one of those people, and you deserve massive thanks for it outside of all the jokes. And I'm sure that you hear that from people in your life. I hope you do. But if not, you're hearing it from me. It's just like, it's really hard. And I have to imagine so many situations where you go, I pray I'm doing the right thing right now. And that's got to stick with you and affect you. You're telling me you started on new antidepressants. Good. Yeah. I'm glad to hear you're taking care of your mental health, because it's one of these jobs that you go, man, there's a whole, it suggests to me that there's a whole infrastructure in place of nurses, doctors, teachers, all sorts of people who might be mandated reporters.
Yeah.
Let alone social workers who rush into the void of situations like this. Like a whole infrastructure of people taking care of kids in our society that most of us get to go throughout our day and not even realize that there's this sort of tenuous, shifting safety net trying to protect kids on behalf of all society. And you're a hub in that network, and thank you for doing it.
Well, thanks, Geth. It means a lot. I know it's the type of job that is like most helping professions where you don't really hear very often like a thank you, or like you're doing work that's meaningful. But when you do hear it, it makes you recognize like, oh, yeah, I am. It gives you that second to pause and think like, you know what, outside of the day-to-day grind, because it is, even despite what the job is, it's still a grind, that it is very meaningful and it's work. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear this in the background, but my dog very much so wants me to go throw his Frisbee right now. And he just keeps on perpetually hitting me in the leg with it. I don't know if you could have heard that in the background. But
no, but you need to build some infrastructure in your life where between your husband and these needy dogs and these needy birds, that you get some time where everyone leaves you alone. You need that.
I do. I have it. One of the cool things that I've gotten into in the past year is I've started throwing pottery. There's a really, really great arts community around where I live, and this huge nonprofit art space where they have independent studios. Artists can rent studio space there, but there's also maker studios. So there's like a fused glass studio, hot glass studio, ceramic studio. But I rent space at the ceramic studio, and I go there a couple of times a week just to throw pottery and disassociate and like do something with my hands where like I wouldn't say I'm particularly good at it, but I really just do it so that I have a creative outlet. That's because good. I don't have very much time for that. And I find that to be an exceptionally important part of my life that I don't get enough time to invest in. So when I do get the chance to go to the pottery studio and just like create, I just create for the sake of creating. And that's really nice. Probably one of the best things that I do for myself.
Do you ever get lost in the pottery process and then look down and realize you've sculpted like a series of human skulls that are all screaming, and you're like, oh yeah, my life's hard. My life's fucked up. Have you ever had that situation?
No, not that specifically. No, but I did get lost though once, that I did make what I now endearingly call I made like a little like spaceship and turned it into an incense holder. And I'm so afraid of screwing it up in the process that it's just like sitting there unglazed because I don't want to glaze it and then end up hating it because I love it so much right now.
I love that. How long have you been in your profession in this type of lawyering that you do?
So 6 years, 6.5 years.
Have you ever had?
And then both of the internships I did when I was in law school were both in child welfare. So
is it a situation where you ever hear from the people that you represented? Like, do you ever hear from people years later, or is it more you come in for this intense part of the process and then generally everyone moves on and you have to trust that you were helping steer people in the right direction?
The latter. Generally, people just like move on.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of clients who like will call me or text me out of the blue. But no, it's more of just you let it go and you hope that you did make a difference and that things are in fact better, but also have that like gnawing thought in the back of your mind where it's just like, maybe not. Maybe once everyone walks away and there's no oversight, everyone just goes back to their deeply ingrained habits. But you never really know. I try not to think about that part. Once it's like done, I really do kind of like I have this like mental exercise where when I like close out a case and I'm done with it, I like wipe my hands and like push them away. And in my mind, that's like, okay, like I've done what I can with this situation and I need to push it out of my mind because I don't have the capacity to continue thinking about this because there are the next like case that's going to replace the one that just closed is coming in now or tomorrow. So like, I don't have the capacity to continue thinking about them. Does that make sense?
It does. It's very jarring to hear. It makes me a little worried about you. And I am left wondering, in a way that I promise you is non-sexual, is there a more perfect physical human on earth than Jade Cargill?
More physical person? No. As a physical specimen, I think that she is chiseled out of stone. As a wrestler, do I think that she has refined her craft?
Oh, there's a long way to go there. But you can see why they threw money at her, because you look at her and you go, there's some combination of hard work and genetics that has made you a physically like you seem to be more like you wandered down from the mountain of Greek gods than that you're just shopping in a supermarket like the rest of us.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Like you don't just go to shop right
sometimes
and then jump out to the bagel store across the street if you have extra time. You don't do that when you look like that.
I am sure she doesn't eat bagels.
No, she hasn't had a bagel in 15 years.
And if she does, and she still looks like that, like I need to understand how.
I look like someone who eats bagels all the time because I do. Caller, our time on the free feed is up. This one flew by. I have to say, between all the topics, I mean, I could talk about wrestling forever. We didn't even really get to ska, but then tugboat diversions followed up by the fact that you're doing your part to try to help people who can't help themselves. This was an all-timer, and can't thank you enough. And if you have just a few extra minutes, we'll go behind the paywall, ask you some random questions from our giant list of listener-submitted questions.
Sure. Thanks so much, Chris. I literally can't believe it's been an hour. It's been an absolute joy, and I can't wait to continue chatting with you about hopefully more random shit.
And thank you so much for everything you do so sincerely. In case you know, I know it's probably often thankless, but sincerely, thank you.
Thanks. I appreciate you.
Caller, I can't thank you enough for calling, for checking probably every box of things that beautiful anonymous callers love, and most of all for doing a lot of unseen, underappreciated work for people who can't help themselves. It's not a small thing to let you know you are seen, you are appreciated. Man, am I happy there are people out there doing what you do. Thanks so much. Also, thanks to our producer, Andrea Quinn. Thanks to Shellshag, who does our theme music. Thanks to everybody who subscribes at beautifulanonymous.com for extra stuff every single week and month. Thanks to everybody who calls in. Thanks to everybody who subscribes to our Instagram at Beautiful Anonymous Pod, who follows us at chrisgethard.bsky.social, who joins the Beautiful Anonymous, the community Facebook group. Thanks to everybody. This week on Beautiful Anonymous Plus, here's some of what you'll get from the 5 questions. This is now, of course, the time where you leave a question for the next caller.
Ooh, that's hard. I feel like I want to leave something meaningful, but I also feel like I want to leave nonsense.
It's a tough choice.
All right. If you were a professional wrestler, what would your outfit be?
Yeah, that's my favorite question on the entire list. Thank you so much for leaving it. That's a great question. Don't forget to sign up for Beautiful Anonymous Plus at beautifulanonymous.com.